Welcome to Heart of the Work, a series by SeedTrust where we have real, personal conversations with the people behind the scenes. We're pulling back the curtain to show you the people who care deeply about what we do. Let's dive in.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dumont, and I am the Director of Payments and Funding here at SeedTrust. I have been with SeedTrust for a little over a year, and prior to that, I was the owner of Stork Escrow, which I owned for about 14 years. So I have been in this industry for a long time.
Well, we're very happy to have you with us at SeedTrust. What is something like a fun fact or something that maybe people would be surprised to learn about you, Kelly?
I think what people may not know about me is that one of my best experience professionally actually took place before I entered this industry, and I had the benefit of working for an accounting firm where I lived in London for 2 years, and I worked and played over there for 2 years and traveled the world. And it is, to this day, one of the highlights of my professional career.
I bet you have a lot of amazing stories.
Lots of them.
What is something small that makes your workday better here at SeedTrust?
One of the things that makes my day better is when I get to connect with people in person, even though we're an online company. So how I try to schedule my weeks is I have a team of 8 people, and I try to schedule 2 one-on-ones every day on a different day through the week. So I always have that in-person interaction to start my day, basically. And it's
Yeah.
And I enjoy that, right? But one of the things, or one of my strengths, I think, is I'm very much a people person. That's my style of management. And so the human connection at the start of my day is something that makes my day better every day.
I agree, especially with us all working remote. It is really nice to even have like these face-to-face conversations. It helps kind of bridge
Exactly.
that gap that we're missing.
By doing that, I never feel like I'm a remote company. It's like I'm just going back to my cubicle or my office, and everybody's continued on with their day.
That being said, is there someone that you talk with or even like another position within the company that would be fun for you to switch jobs with for a day?
So before I came over to the accounting department, I was over in legal, and I worked on the credit card team, which is also a fun fact that people may not know. And I sort of oversaw the insurance piece of the credit card world in my time over there. So if I could swap roles with anybody, I'd leave the payment side for the day and I'd go over and swap roles with Kate Barker, who runs the credit card program, because it's something that I enjoyed very much and I was passionate about. And it was my first look at SeedTrust and how I got to learn about it, how I learned all the ins and outs of it. So I'd go back there.
It's very cool to know because I know she herself is also very passionate about that program. So there must be something in the water with the credit card team.
Yes. Yes. But it's nice to, what's the best compliment is you would swap your day job for a job that you've already done. Like, that's how much I enjoyed it. So that's a testament to what that role was.
That's very
right.
cool.
And is. Yeah.
Yes. So do you have something on your desk or in your workspace that makes you smile or brings a little joy to your life every day?
Yes.
Could you share?
Would you like to see it?
Of course.
Okay. And I will explain the backstory. So this is her. And she is an angel that flew in the foyer of my parents, my childhood home. And she is my dad's favorite thing in the world. It just reminds him of when we all lived together.
Mm-hmm.
And when they moved out of their house, I claimed it over my sister because I'm older. And she flies in my office because she reminds me of my mom and dad who live far away. And she literally is on a plant right above my laptop. That's why I could get her so fast. But she
That's
makes
right.
me smile every day.
Does she have a name?
Fat Angel.
That's perfect. Love it.
It's so inappropriate, but it is who she is. And
No, it's great.
my little family all knows that.
So switching topics a bit. So your role at SeedTrust, what does a typical day look like for you?
A typical day sort of starts with coming in and working through deposits because everybody is anxious to make sure their money is in the cases and available for use first thing. So I try to get everything posted ahead of the first teams coming in at 8 o'clock so that they can start approving the payments against those funds. So it starts there. And then I typically do my one-on-ones when my team comes in and some of the team meetings and things like that. And that's sort of my 10 to 12, time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then I spend the bulk of the day approving payments. I'm responsible for approving all refunds that go back to intended parents for the balance of their escrows, all one-off type payments, all checks that are cut. And there's very, specific procedures to make sure they're all correct. But that, it's a long process. It takes, 2 to 3 hours to make sure all those one-off type payments are done, approved, and released.
Right.
Then the end part of my day is spent, we have what is called NACHA files. And what that means is all disbursements, compensation, payments to vendors, where we have their banking information, they get moved to a specific file and they get sent to the bank electronically. And that can be anywhere between 1,000 transactions a day and month end is like 7,000 transactions a day. Oh. And ultimately, that's my responsibility to make sure it's correct. There's no duplications. It's going to the right place. It has the right memos on it. Agencies want when they get the funds in their bank, they want to know what invoice it's for. They don't care about our case numbers. They want to easily be able to identify it and cross-check it against their records. So there's that. And then the other time in between all that is sort of responding to questions from the team, which, I have a team of 8. And out of the 8, 5 are brand new in 2025. So really still learning. And everything changes at SeedTrust every day. There's processes in place, but every process has 50 exceptions because it's such an individualized process for every set of intended parents. So I answer questions from the team. I respond to our accounting emails that are a lot of agency questions, vendor questions, intended parents, where's my money? Why hasn't the deposit been received? There's a lot of interaction with the bank these days because with all going on in the world, it's hard to transmit funds electronically internationally. A lot of banking hangups, a lot of anxiety by intended parents because money, no such thing as a same day wire anymore, really. Money gets hung up in the banking cloud and we try to pull it out. So that's my day.
You're a very important person here at SeedTrust.
Every day is different. So yeah. That is a huge plus, that your day is never going to be the same. And every day I learn something new, which most jobs, you cannot say that.
Right. Well, it's very clear, like your passion about this work definitely comes through, even you talking about it right there. Is that what you love most about the company? Is your job, or what is it?
I mean, I love my job. I love all that SeedTrust represents. I owned an escrow company and I was a competitor of SeedTrust for many years. And it's, to me, fascinating to come to the other side. I mean, we chose to sell our business to SeedTrust because of what they stood for, their work ethic, their values. It aligned with mine and my business partners. And I love being on this side now to see how they succeeded and sort of why we didn't keep up. I have a very interesting perspective on the whole thing. And I love all the things that they've been able to do that I would have loved to have done and just didn't have the same resources. So to me, it is, I've been afforded such a wonderful opportunity, and I'm really grateful for it. And it's an industry that, you know, we always talked about it to other people, like, you're never going to make $1 million working in the fertility world, but you'll never find a more gratifying industry to work in.
True. You do have a very unique perspective too. I could see that as well. I think that's something that I would do constantly, is just sit there and compare like whatever I used to do versus how SeedTrust does it. It's just a whole other operation. And it's just neat to see, and things that you can grow from too, which is very cool.
100%. Like I said, I have been in escrow for 14 years, and I have never learned as much as I've learned in this past year. Like, my growth all these years later in my career is like exponential, off the charts.
That's so cool. Yeah.
So I never knew such personal growth was possible.
It's awesome that a career helps bring that out in you.
I am very grateful, and I am grateful that I've allowed myself to be challenged and to be open to how the road would take me, right? I didn't come here with any role in mind or anything. I literally said to Adam, I will do whatever you would like me to do. I wasn't ready to leave the industry. Like, I had very mixed feelings about selling the company because it was something I just loved so much, but it was time. And I was grateful for the opportunity to stay here. And like I said, personal growth is tremendous. So,
well,
lucky me.
What brought you into the industry so many years ago?
My story into the industry is a very interesting one. So I did side accounting work for some small businesses in Massachusetts. And one of the businesses that I worked at was a hair salon. And I was at the hair salon doing their accounting, and in walked an attorney in the fertility world who had her hair done by the owner of the hair salon. And they were just chit-chatting, and she asked if she knew anybody that did accounting. So the owner of the hair salon said, yes, and she's here. We met. I did accounting work for this attorney and my ex-business partner at Stork, Liz, for years. And then we decided to start the escrow business.
That is unique.
It is unique, right? And that's a fun fact that I guarantee you not one person in the industry knows. So I was an accountant for two of the attorneys who are still in this world. And Liz and I, by chance, she was like, what do you think? And she, had the much more personal connections, and she had been in the industry for years, written books, everything. So I was like, but her strength was legal. And she was like, you'd be the perfect partner because your strength is accounting. And that's how we ran it for all these years. For all those years, never having, we never spent a penny on advertising. It was all word of mouth. So I feel very good about the work that was done for all those years, and, was able to kind of compete with SeedTrust for a while.
What a great compliment too. Just doing word of mouth and then competing with the big guys of SeedTrust. That's huge.
So we hung in there.
Yeah. And then you got to sell to SeedTrust, so that's even better.
That's right. That's right. And, I was always the person that I was like, I'm just not selling this business to anybody. I'd rather walk away from it than
Mhm.
just sell out to somebody just to sell it for money. And it really wasn't until I spoke to Adam personally that I understood. Because, when somebody's a competitor, you have such a different perception of them as a human than you do when you finally meet them in person, right? And you understand how much your worlds align. And I was I like I couldn't get enough of talking. Well, Adam. Like I couldn't get enough of talking to him because he was so interesting to talk to, and I didn't realize how much commonality there was, which is cool.
I agree. Would you feel comfortable going into the ins and outs of why you did sell and why you decided to sell to SeedTrust, like going into that a little bit more? And I will
Sure. No, of
re-ask that
course.
question. Okay. Let me
No,
re-ask that.
I'm very open about it. It was time. Um, it was time to sell. My business partner had always maintained her law practice with the escrow company, so she split her time between the two, and just it got harder to do. Right? She was getting burnt out, and there's no. I would too. It has nothing to do with that, but you just realize that for a long time we thought, well, like SeedTrust can't hang out in this space for too long because they're new to the gang, right? Like their background wasn't in fertility. They were banker guys, and
Mhm.
we really, I don't know, do we underestimate their charm and and their smarts? Yeah, I guess so. Um, but so we always thought if we just kept doing what we were good at, which was really, we prided ourselves on just the personal connection, right? Liz and I never invested money in the business until the last couple years when we created a portal, basically because we had to, or we knew we couldn't compete at all. But we really, and people hung in with us. They liked that, right? It was the old school. Liz had connections from years of working in the industry. So you have a group of attorneys and agencies who are more our age, who weren't about the speed of portals and everything being automated, and they still like the fact that I sent every payment for 14 years. you know
Right.
Everyone went through me, and I could tell you without looking what, if you gave me an intended parent's name, I could tell you what agency they were with. I could tell you who their surrogate was. I still can't, probably because it's so in my brain.
Right.
But like, they liked that, right? They liked that they could call me on my cell phone, that I would answer that. But that's how we built a business, because we were small and we could.
Mhm.
Competing, though, you come to realize that then SeedTrust just kept going and growing, and now I see why. It was hard to see why on the other side. Um, but I see the resources they put in it. I see, Abby and Caitlin out there really building relationships with these agencies. I see a lot of what we should have worked on that I just didn't realize. I always thought just the personal edge would keep us going, and we always grew every year. We never went backwards a year, which is nice. It wasn't growth like it is here, but it was growth, and we were proud of it. But it just got to the point where we either had to make a significant investment personally, or it was time to sell the business. And we actually had gotten an offer outside of what we ended up doing. And we both got cold feet at the end, and we were like, it doesn't feel right. I can't do this. And it was for significantly more money. But it didn't, I think neither one of us would have been able to sleep at night. And not that it was anything, it just was a feeling, right? It wasn't, it was a feeling that we weren't going to be selling to the right people. So Liz said, do you want me to reach out to Adam? And, for years, because he and Liz had kept in touch and, had a very professional relationship, and Adam would refer us business when people didn't want to go with SeedTrust. So it was a very mutual respect, all that. But I was like, sure. And it went from there, right? Because it went from being something I was very uncomfortable with to quickly being something I was very comfortable with. And then we were just going to sell the business. And then I was like, wonder what he would think if I asked if I could come work there. And I definitely don't think he was expecting that. And I don't even think I was expecting that, right? It was a feeling about a place that I thought I could have a second home, kind of how I would put it, right? But I had to get that feeling from many conversations with Adam, right? He took the time, and now knowing how busy he is, I can't even believe he took all that time. But he took time. He took the time to listen. He took the time to tell us about SeedTrust. He took time to talk to us about the business that he and Brock had grown, that we had only ever really read about, right? And it was just our perception as a competitor. And, it quickly grew into an admiration that I wasn't expecting. And it's not that I was expecting anything negative. I didn't expect the connection that I got. And that's such a bonus. And so it became my bonus home and my bonus job at the end of the day. And I am very grateful for it. And it's more than I ever hoped it to be. So it really was just a timing thing on selling the business. We'd had it for a long time, and we had come to a crossroads, and it's as simple as that. And the crossroads came, and we decided I would have kept it probably, because I wasn't ready to be done.
Right.
But Liz was my partner, and we always did things 50-50. Like there was never any who did more anything. Everybody, we both had our roles within the company, and I had to respect her wishes, and that's what you do. So that's why we sold the business.
Well, I'm sure, not that I could ever picture this, but I would love to have seen Adam jump for joy at the thought of you asking him if you could come work for SeedTrust after you sold Stork to him. Because also, what a huge compliment. And then you're such a great human too, to join our team.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But
then.
Yeah. And it was at the last hour that I asked. So, and I'm not even sure I asked. I think Liz might have brought it up to him, because I was like, oh, I don't know him that well. Maybe, why don't you ask? But I was very open to any type of role that was available. I didn't have my heart set on anything, and truly would have done anything. And I enjoyed what I got brought over at. And the fact that I now am in my current role is, again, not something I expected, but am very grateful for the opportunity, and enjoy my day over here just as much as I did over there.
That's fantastic to hear. And that's hard to do. So that's great.
Yeah. And they're two completely different things. So again, learning curve last 6 months, just as big as first 6 months.
I bet. So since you've been here, what is a project or even a moment that you've been really proud of? It sounds like there could be a lot.
No, you know what? I am most proud of the fact that I feel like my 7 team members truly enjoy working with me. I like that they tell me that they feel supported, that they know I will help them if they need help, and they feel like I work with them and they don't work for me.
Right.
And I think that's what I'm most proud of, because when you take over a team, and we've added to it since, all you want is to have, you operate much better if people are happy. and feel supported. You, everything just runs better. So I feel like I do my job better because they enjoy being here. So that's what I'm most proud of. My style of management is a people thing, is a people first type thing. So there's no bigger compliment when somebody says, I enjoy working for you.
Yeah, and I can see that. I can see that very clearly. Especially just even in our conversation right now. I can see how that radiates into your team, which is very
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah. So that's what I'm most proud of.
How would you
Do you
Sorry,
want to
go
hear
ahead.
what I'm most proud of professionally?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
I am most proud of professionally. This is ridiculous, but that I can friggin' work on those Slack channels like nobody's business anymore. Like I was so nervous about them because it's, to me, it's everything I try to tell my kids not to do. Stop with the phone. Stop constant, instant gratification. Don't answer everybody the first, put it down. And now it's all I do all day long.
All
Respond to
good.
people quickly
Yes.
and navigate between the 900 DMs all day. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm most proud of because I, I didn't in my early professional life. Technology wasn't a thing. So I'm sort of that generation that crisscrossed both and learning new technology when you didn't, I spent 15 years of my professional career without email. Like it's a
Mhm.
different world. And so learning all the technology here is also something I'm immensely proud of because I'm actually comfortable with it at this point. And it was the thing that like kept me up initially because I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do this. Never. And I can. So
Awesome. And it never stops.
it and
Technology just keeps evolving.
I know, but now I feel like, oh, all right, you mastered that. So you can do it. It's just you might be a little slower or you might need to ask a few more questions, but you can do it. Don't just psych yourself out of it.
Yes, I agree. That being said, with all the Slack channels that are going on and all the DMs and emails and just different ways of communicating with each other and our clients too, how would you describe SeedTrust culture? In 3 words if you can, but I know that's a little difficult too.
Ooh. SeedTrust culture. Innovative, for sure. Forward thinking. It's a word I use to describe SeedTrust all the time. And Adam and Brock, like the most forward thinking people I've ever worked for. And collaborative.
I would 100% agree with that.
Those good 3 words?
Yeah, they're great.
Okay. So I feel like that sort of describes what I see every day.
Yes. And I think that's a great thing too. I think our clients see that. If not, then that's what we're trying to help them see as well, because we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Why do you feel like escrow is important in third-party reproduction?
Oh, I think escrow is important because I really think you need a neutral, non-emotional party to handle the money in this most simplest terms. Because, having done it for so long, you definitely have heightened emotions on all sides. And if you can provide the neutrality of the whole thing, it takes everything down a level and people generally then follow the contract, right? Like if you just set those standards to begin with and you don't take sides, you don't ask, outside of the contract unless somebody really asks you to do stuff, but you really keep it to being a neutral party. I think it makes the journey so much easier and less stressful for everybody involved. I think it's so hard for attorneys to hold it because they would be biased to one side. Even if you say you're not, somebody's paying your bill. So I just think it's really important. And there's such guidelines, it was always easy for us to say, right? Like that's what we do. We're the neutral party. We can't give you an opinion on this. And it took the pressure off of you to come up with an opinion because you couldn't have one. That's not what your job is. Your job is to read a contract.
Yeah.
So I think quicker you establish that understanding amongst all parties, the better the journeys all go.
Right. I agree. Is there something that you wish that our intended parents, surrogates, or donors knew about escrow that you feel like they don't know? Or is often overlooked? That might be a good one.
I think what's often overlooked and what I wish would happen more is I wish attorneys would spend more time educating intended parents and surrogates about the actual language within their contract and what it means. Mm-hmm. So, what does a minimum balance mean? That means you need to have X amount of money in your account up until the period that it says in the contract, regardless of anything. It's a contract term. But what does that mean? I think intended parents are often blindsided by it. I think they don't realize that in contractual terms, it means you can't dip below that.
Right.
And so, it's the same thing I feel with, like, this is something on the surrogate side. Like when you have a lost wage provision in your contract and it asks for 3 pay stubs every time you request lost wages. I wish surrogates understood that means every time you ask, you need to attach your most recent pay stubs. And I just think there's not enough guidance given to when everybody's signing their contracts about some of these provisions that are skimmed over. And then when we're trying to enforce the terms of a contract, it gets sticky.
Right.
So that's what I wish. I wish everybody just was educated better on their contract terms. So when the journey starts, all those pieces are ironed out and we don't look like the bad guy by requesting this information.
Totally feel that. But it's also a contract and it's how many people actually read their contracts for anything.
Yep. But I feel like that's during these reviews that the lawyers do, there's just some points that could be honed in a little bit better so that, or educating the intended parents and surrogates to ask about these specific things, because does it have to be $10,000 minimum balance? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it can be 5 after birth. Maybe there's things you can do contractually to for a little give and take. But if you don't know to ask, it's not going to happen. So, I think there's some education that just could be done so that some of these points within contracts don't become as contentious as they do become.
So I can see it pretty clearly in just discussing all of these things with you. But how do you feel like you personally make sure our clients feel secure and cared for?
I try to reassure people any chance I get I don't have as much interaction with people, on the payment side anymore, but I try whenever emails come through, I really take the lead on those because I try to give my perspective. I always try to give a little bit more information. I try to ask pertinent questions. I try to show them that my knowledge base is large without coming across as like a know-it-all or, I just want them to know that I have the appropriate experience to handle their money and that I understand their concerns. And when they are looking for a deposit, I try to explain what I think has happened. So, if you have money coming in from Italy, say, and it's from a business, it's going to be flagged. It's not being flagged by our bank. It's being flagged by the International Banking Committee, the beings higher than us. So I try to explain that and let them know, like the term wire doesn't really exist anymore. It's a process. So wires I think everybody thinks, 24 hours and they'll show up. Sometimes they do. But in the international banking world right now, that's not the case. And so I try to just always be reassuring and give them information that they didn't necessarily ask for, but I hope they know I care about their money just as much as they do. And I'm looking into things. And even if I don't have the answers, I will look every day, and I let them know that. No, I haven't seen it yet, but I will check, and I leave everything in my inbox. And it's just how I've always run my inboxes. Nothing gets put in a folder until it's complete. So I look at it every day to make sure that specific thing hasn't happened yet. And then I follow up, and then it never comes off my radar until it's done. And, someday there'll be 0 in an inbox, but not right now. But it's really important that people know that I take my role as a payments director very seriously, and that I do it's no different than if I were making a deposit. I am right there with them. So that's what I can do on the payments side, because I don't have the day-to-day contact. It's typically, I have contact with people when it's a problem. So it's making people feel comfortable that you're addressing the problem.
Right. Well,
So
just
that's my
too, like that helps ensure trust in you and
exactly.
also in the company, and then they feel a lot more comfortable about what's going on.
I mean, I just recently I had an intended parent who, like, we were just waiting for his money, and he was so nervous about it, and he was very animated. He was an international client, and we don't have our Zoom doesn't have the capability to call out internationally. So I called out on my cell phone and every day he would call me on my phone. And he was like, have you found it yet? Have you found it yet? And then finally I could call him back and say, yes, we have it. And you would have thought I had given him $5 million. But, it's allowing that type of interaction to take place, because I didn't have any better answers, but I was willing to talk to him. Like it's all people want, is they just want to know you care. And oftentimes that's enough.
Right. So what motivates you to keep raising the bar, even at SeedTrust and within the industry?
Because it's just an industry that I'm so passionate about. I have 2 kids of my own and was lucky enough to have a family without a lot of challenges. And my life would be very different without my kids. So I understand for those who want a family, I understand what that means. My kids are 20 and 22 at this point. So, I've had a lifetime with them, and I know what people who really want a family are looking for. So I just am very passionate about helping people achieve that in a very small way. I've had people, and I think some of the greatest compliments I've gotten is one of my intended parents, she's now an intended parent over at SeedTrust. But she asked for a picture of me and Liz, my former business partner, and Jamie and Candy, who worked for us at the time, because she wanted to put it in her daughter's scrapbook. So she knew we were a piece of her life, and we had a small part in her journey. And I was like, see, that's why I do it. Because like, that's one of the greatest stories, and the Christmas cards that I received, and the personal, just people's gratefulness, even though you're just a tiny piece of the puzzle, is so gratifying. I'm just not sure you get that gratification from any other job in the same way. So you always want to do better, right? You just never want to disappoint somebody is really all it takes. You just want to do whatever you can, and anything that happens, and there's always going to be things that happen out of the norm, right? Like, you can't control everything. Things happen. But as long as you're always doing your best and always striving to be the best you can, it comes across. And And people are so grateful that there are people in the world that want to do this for them.
I agree. Do you
So
have
there's no motivation. It's if you work in this industry, it's just what you want to do.
I
Or
feel
you
that.
shouldn't be in the industry.
Right. I agree. So that being said, do you have a like standout feel good moment that you've seen come out of your work here within SeedTrust or even in your prior company?
I mean, I don't know that I have. I, you, I think standout moments are basically all the referrals that we've received along the way, because it was a word of mouth type business. Every person that referred another person, and our business was 50% independent journeys. Like that was our big, coup,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of, it's what we did well at getting. And every person that reached out personally that was like, we have, friends, or could you help them, or can they call you and learn about escrow? And it was really, it's the people you meet along the way. And I feel the same here. I don't have as much interaction. So like my personal wins are just more about successfully helping be a part, just helping in the journeys here. There, I did have interaction because I just was in touch with people. I was a first point of contact for a lot of people. It's just really getting to speak to people. And you know what? I have had to, when I did work in final accountings for a while. So I did get to talk to people at the end, and, people would call to confirm banking or whatever. And they would tell you their stories along the way. And that's what I love, right? If you can speak to somebody and it really starts as a business call and you end it as a personal call, you've done your job and you've made the connection. So those are my personal wins here. It's the people that I have gotten to speak to, and it starts as a very, like, I'm in accounting, right? Every call is going to start as a business call. I'm not your, IP intake person. I'm not any of that. So it definitely, if people are calling, it's for a business reason. But if you can make it and spin it to be a personal call, you've won every time.
I agree.
So you made me think of this. That's why I'm glad I didn't know these questions. Like that's a win, right? Like it makes you really think and reflect on your own time. Thank you.
And you've had a great journey too. Well, I wanted to end this by thanking you for sharing your story. It's been an absolute joy talking to you and getting to know you a little bit more, and then hearing all of the wonderful things that you've done at SeedTrust and also through Stork. And I'm sure I am not the only one, but we thank you also for joining SeedTrust.
Thank you.
You are definitely a light at this company.
I thank you. It's one of my greatest joys, and it's such an unexpected one. So I am very, very grateful to Adam and Brock for the opportunity, and grateful to all the people here that I've met. Everybody's really made a difference in a transition that I could never have seen coming. So thank you.
Well, thank you.